Welcome to the Write Your Own Story podcast. I'm your host, Betsy Leonidas, and the founder of the Write Your Own Story company. Girl, I can tell you right now, you are definitely enough. Here we value service, sisterhood, connection, laughter, and that super genuine, keep it real, tell you like it is honesty. My hope is at the end of each episode, you realize you can do whatever it is you dream about and that you are not alone with what you struggle with. I'm hoping that you are snapping and clapping and hell yes in your way through each one of these episodes. So if this tracks with you, let's get started. I'm so glad you're here. All right, you guys, welcome everybody back to the Write Your Own Story podcast. I'm your host, Betsy Leonidas, and I am so excited to have Amy Scalia here with me today.
I am too. I mean, this is great. We've been talking about this for years.
Literally years. We've known each other for years.
Yes.
I feel like you're one of the first people that I saw really step into your own lane in terms of being an entrepreneur as a woman, creating content, creating media opportunities. We'll get into all that for sure. But I think that we kind of found each other. Did we find each other on the internet and professional things and just... It's all a blur.
All the things mom tells you not to do. Don't meet people on the internet. Well,
I know, but I met all my best friends on the internet. We are drinking today because for the longest time I thought it was Friday. Then my camera ran out of memory card. Amy's got a call in a little bit, and we decided, yes way rosé. Oh, yes. Let me get my can.
Yeah.
Cheers.
It's actually really, really good. This is my first time having it.
It's delicious. This is not sponsored by Yes Way Rosé. Amy, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
One of the things that is a thread line through your life, and you both personally and professionally, is this notion of never give up. So I like to start off every episode with an intention, promise to the listeners that you will definitely feel inspired to never give up. And I can't wait to share your story with everyone. So why don't you walk us through? I mean, girl, you got a bio.
Oh gosh.
I want to read it, but this is just like, you're my friend and I just want to chat with you. But let's just run it down for your journey real quick. And also don't be shy now. Hit all those big accomplishments.
Okay. So, all right. I have to kind of talk about a little bit of the inspiration of why I'm doing what I'm doing and kind of what started the whole path. So my grandma was one of the first female newspaper reporters.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I thought I was going to college to be the first, not the first, but a newspaper reporter, and just really inspired by her. She was a great storyteller. Great with connecting with all types of people and getting to the grit of whatever it is she was writing about. And I was just always so inspired by her. So I go to college thinking I'm going to be a newspaper reporter, and I have this amazing professor who was hold up, the newspapers, media in general are going to look really different even by the time you graduate here.
Awesome.
And started talking about this new, they were calling it electronic media.
Oh my God. I
can't.
Old. I feel like it should go over a wire somewhere. It should be faxed.
Yeah. And it was the first year that they were offering it at Miami. It's now, digital communications, but it was their electronic media, and they teach you a little bit of writing, graphic design, web streaming video, audio, all the things. So I graduate, I have this specialty in digital journalism in 2004.
Props to Miami for having that.
That was pretty awesome.
Because so many of us have had to Google our way there.
Right.
So I went to Miami and also graduated in 2004. This is why we get along so well. And I was a business major. Man, whoops, picked the wrong one.
No, I mean, but that's the thing, that you can apply business to so many aspects of life, and a lot about communication and just digital in general. I'm okay, I can kind of make that into anything, and
which you literally have.
Yeah. So long story short, but actually I'm going to kind of still keep it long because it's a long bio.
I only know how to tell long stories, so you're in a welcome, comforting space.
So I graduate. There's literally no jobs in Cincinnati for digital journalism. So I was I've got a cool degree and 0 job opportunities.
Oh my God.
So I find this job in Philadelphia. I've never been to Philadelphia. I've never moved outside of Cincinnati. Grew up here. Went to school not far from here. All the things. I get the job over the phone.
Amazing.
I find an apartment on Craigslist.
Oh my God. How did you not get snatched?
I know. I'm all the things I'd be terrified for my kids to do
right.
So I actually I had a moving van take all my stuff. And I hadn't even been to my apartment yet. Like I drove through the night on a Sunday night to my first job in Philadelphia. I come to my apartment and meet the moving, like all the things. So everything
sight unseen, job unseen, apartment unseen, yes. City unseen.
Mm-hmm. So I worked up there for a couple years, got really homesick for Cincinnati, and I had actually met who I'm now married to, Pete, right before I moved. So in this meantime, between like when I got in the job and before I moved up there and got a like sketchy apartment on Craigslist, so I met him in this like little golden hour like between then. So we have like immediately a 2-year long distance relationship.
Yeah, but props to your connection for being like, hey, this is worth it.
Yeah. And I figured, and someone told me that long distance will either speed up whatever's going to happen. Either you're going to figure it out, like that it's worth fighting for, or that like it's just not convenient, so let's not be together.
Oh my God, yes.
So I was like, whatever it is, it's going to speed it up. So I work up there, and I helped to launch an online publication for a print publishing company that had a ton of print publications. This was our first online only. So I essentially got to start my first business under someone else's wing, which was pretty cool.
And budget,
yes. I learned all of like the mishaps the typical entrepreneur does. But I got homesick, and I thought on those long drives back and forth from Philadelphia, if I could start a business for somebody else and, start a magazine, because there was still no jobs. And I'm like, if I can start something for somebody else, I can start it for myself. And in Philadelphia, there were some women's publications that helped me to really feel like I got acclimated quickly to the city. They would have cocktail events, fashion shows, like all these really great events. And I thought, Cincinnati really needs something like that. Yeah. At the time, Sex and the City was really big, and I would look around at the movie theaters, and there's women in their 60s, there's women in their 20s. Like there's something about this this movie or show that brings such a range of women, and these women spend not only for themselves but also for their family, lots of disposable income, or at least I think they have.
Right, they spend as though they do.
Yeah. And so I was like, this is what I want to do. I looked around the room and I was like, I want to create a publication that gets these women in the door.
See, and I love that it is like, you're like, what has helped you? You want to turn around and help others with, and you know that you also have something there and can make a business out of it.
Exactly.
So many businesses, so many women that I know have started their businesses that come from a life event where they then turn around and are like, not only does this inspire me, this helped me, I'm going to do this for somebody else.
Yeah, when it comes from a really organic place. Yep. Like, okay, I know if I like this, other people will too. Totally. And I know it'll help. And plus, I'm always like a big Cincinnati cheerleader, where I'm just like, Cincinnati needs this. We're big enough for this. We deserve something like this. Like people don't necessarily think. So I created a publication called Cincy Chic in 2007. It was the first online only women's publication in Greater Cincinnati, and started in 2007, kind of like the OG before they even called it like bloggers or influencers or anything like that, and really paved the path for what that looks like to be sort of non-traditional media. Yeah, a lot of people were like, will you ever have a print publication? I'm like, no, that like everything is kind of going the opposite way. And people thought I was crazy at first, 2007, and eventually everything is going that way. Yes. So cut my teeth with being an entrepreneur for 13 years, sold it in 2018.
Let's just talk about how successful it was, though. You had how many subscribers?
30,000 when I sold it.
That's insane. Mm-hmm. And you were even able to open up a second one?
Yes, in Columbus. Cincy Chic had a sister publication. And part of that is because we moved for my husband's job to Columbus, and it offered the perfect opportunity to be able to create that in another city and just recreate the wheel, essentially. Right. And so when I sold it, 2 cities, 30,000 subscribers, and monthly events. And but after 13 years, I didn't understand it at the time, kind of felt called to do something else. I just felt like, am I going to do this for the rest of my life? Like, I don't see, it wasn't bringing me the joy that it brought in the beginning. That fire.
I totally get that. And I think our generation is so like, the generation before us is like, you pick a path and you stick to it all the way through. Right. So for me, like, I also have reinvented myself several times, and it's uncomfortable, but I've fully embraced it now. And like, it is all of our path to ebb and flow and reinvent. And like, I hope that I don't think the generation behind us will ever have an issue with that. But for those who are coming up for air and are like, maybe I'm ready for a next chapter.
Right.
Look at Amy. Yeah, she's ready.
Well, I mean, at the time it was really scary, like reinventing myself, and it was a lot all at once because, I sold the business, and then so was that the.
Did you have kids at this time?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that was a big reason for it too. I had started the business pre-kids.
Yeah.
So it was sort of like my online baby, and then like real babies appeared, and then
like your online baby came with real life events. So that's weekends.
Yes.
That's nights. That's that's hard.
Yeah, and I managed a staff, people were, I felt very responsible for, other people's paychecks and, managing all of that, and also managing sort of the HR part of it, and like, so-and-so can't show up, and I'm like, oh, I'll just drive from Columbus to Cincinnati, no big deal.
Right, no big deal. I'll do their job too. Okay,
everything's fine. Yeah,
that's never give up.
right, exactly. Yeah, I had to have a lot of those moments. So it just, I kind of felt called, and I'm like, what does this look like? What is a kind of exit plan? Like, how do you even exit your baby? Like, what that doesn't even sound right.
You're flying the nest on your own baby.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry about that, baby.
Yeah.
So it just so happened that the stars aligned. The right person came into my path, purchased it at the right time. At the end of 2018, the part of the deal was that I stayed with it for 2 years to help to transition, and then I could choose to stay or leave. And who would have known what would have happened in those 2 years, 2020 included, for a business where half of our revenue was event driven.
I have goosebumps.
Right. I mean, it just, as 2020 was unfolding, I was like, this is why. This is why. This is why.
The universe has a way.
Yeah, it's
why
crazy.
Goosebumps had to tell.
Yes. So, and so I had sold it to a print company. So we were able to easily flip the switch on all, with all these companies who had invested for an annual campaign instead of refunding, and we were able to provide value in a different way.
Sure.
And once events opened up, now we have a third revenue stream.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. Which is great. Yeah. I mean, it saved the business, strengthened the business. It's like all the things you could hope for.
Yeah.
So at the end of 2020, I felt like it was going in the direction of print, more so than it had been, which wasn't like something that I was passionate about.
Sure.
And also, I've been doing part-time work for the station, Local 12, the local CBS affiliate, and they were interested in growing their lifestyle content, their online publication, Cincinnati Refined, and then eventually segments, and then maybe moving into a lifestyle show, which is ended up what happened. So now I'm the managing editor of Cincinnati Refined, their online lifestyle publication.
Yes,
and breaking news, we are launching a lifestyle show on Local 12 in April. So
oh my gosh,
you heard it here first.
Yeah, we did. Breaking news right here on our own story. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so very excited.
That's
I've been doing like these weekly Amy on the Go segments where we feature lots of local businesses. But they're Wednesdays and like the 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. They're 3-minute segments, and you have to like know when to catch them. And so now it's going to be a 30-minute weekly show, and I'm just super excited about it.
That is so amazing. Yeah. Okay, well, you'll have to keep us posted on name and airtime and all that good stuff.
It's called Cincinnati Refined. It'll be on Saturdays, 7 p.m. on Local 12. And then also we'll be rerunning the segments on Cincinnati Refined site and social and all of that. So
I'm so happy for you. So one of the things that we were talking about before we started is that when you're ready to do this new chapter, I thought the way you put it was so honest and so beautiful that like, you were like, I knew I was ready for a new chapter, but I didn't know what that was yet. And like, how do you be brave enough to keep exploring? How do you know where to explore? And like, how do you navigate that icky part?
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that I tied so much of my identity. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs do.
Yeah.
Like you pour yourself, like that is your business. Like it personified, like that's you in the form of a business. Mm-hmm. And it's like, how do you sell that off? And like, and when you do, because that's truly the idea of creating a business is to, sell high.
And, absolutely.
This is like, that's the idea of being an entrepreneur, but like in practice, it's difficult, especially what does that look like after it's gone? This like huge hole in your heart, this huge like identity crisis. I felt like I just, because everyone was like, oh, you're the Cincy Chic girl. I was like, yes, was past tense, long story, but I'm new and improved, but what does that look like?
Right.
And that's the big question, what does that look like? And I'm still in the process of creating that.
So I love that you say that. It's like, how does that feel right now to like sit in the, like, things are happening for you, things are transitioning for you, and you still feel like you're not fully formed, which I think so many people can relate to. I can relate to. Like, how does that feel for you?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm in like that caterpillar form where like everything's kind of mushy, but like you're starting to see like inside there's like wings. You know what I mean? Totally. Like, I feel like I'm in the chrysalis right now.
You're chrysalis.
I'm a chrysalis. So I kind of feel like that, where it's like, okay, things are starting to form. Like, this feels right. Like, this feels like it's about to take flight. And I really do. In a few months, I feel like a lot of things that I've been just like planting the seeds. Because, over COVID, it was this like beautiful reset for everyone, where it's like we stopped doing things that we've just been doing because we do them, and these are the things that we do.
Yes.
And once the world opened back up, and we had to make really purposeful decisions of like, what do I add back in? Like, I wiped the slate clean.
Yes.
And a lot of people, like, that meant like relationships.
Yeah.
What they do for a living.
Yes.
Like, do I want to go back to work, or do I want to send my kids to school again? Like, it was just a hard reset. So I think a lot of people were deciding what they want to bring back into their life. And for me, purpose was a big thing. Like, I felt like, this isn't to say anything bad about Cincy Chic, but, I felt like I lost my purpose with it, because you turn it into this like money-making machine. Like, what will make the money? And it was like, and I find myself like, kind of selling some things that I probably wouldn't be sharing or telling my friends that like they should go do.
Yeah.
I just felt like it was coming from, or maybe like it was just like I knew that I was doing it to make a buck. And
revenue.
Yeah, and you have to do that, but it also kind of felt like, I can only do that for so long. And I feel like whatever I add back in, I want it to have purpose. I want it to have joy, and I want it to protect my peace.
Yeah.
Because
that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Purpose, joy, and protecting your peace.
Yeah. Because it's like, okay, whatever I add back in, whatever job I now take, I've gotten used to an entrepreneur lifestyle where I make my schedule. I love my slow mornings, like where I like get to write my gratitudes and all these things. And I like to be able to get the kids off on the bus. And like, I feel like those are things that are important to me.
Yes.
And also, I don't want the wheels always turning of like, what bill is coming in? Who do I need to pay? Like those wheels.
Yes.
Difficult. So protecting my peace, that purpose and joy. And so this job really does all of those things for me. And a big part of the purpose, and something that we created over COVID, Pete and I, we created PS Never Give Up. And it started as a podcast.
I love it.
And he would always end the podcast with PS Never Give Up. Or, and
that's how he would like sign off.
Yeah, that's how he would sign off.
Yeah.
And then one day I just had this epiphany. I'm like, yes, those are your initials. Like, I see a logo. Let's put it on everything.
Yeah.
Like,
da, 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 da. Here comes a brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so we did. We created the brand. We created an online shop, and we source a lot of the items from other small businesses. We have some branded apparel and things like that, but we have jewelry on there that's inspiring by a local jewelry designer. We work with like a Ohio woman for like some of our Bath and Body products, and so it's pretty cool. Where we get to, and we worked with Coffee Emporium for some signature coffee, and so we work with a lot of small businesses, supporting them, and then also get to have that brand, which means a lot of things for a lot of different people.
That's a great way to put that.
Yeah. So
what does it mean to you?
Oh gosh. Well, so I should probably back up and explain a little bit of why PS got started, and why Pete felt called to do that over COVID. We all had a little extra time on our hands, and we started to kind of reevaluate like, what we're doing and what feels purposeful. And so he's like, he has severe rheumatoid arthritis. And when he had it, he told me, he sat me down, he's just like, Amy, I gotta tell you something I haven't told you. And I'm like, what skeletons do you have in your closet?
Oh, God. I'm about to fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what? And he's like, I have rheumatoid arthritis. I was like, oh, my grandma had arthritis, no big deal. And he's like, this is rheumatoid, a little different, but like, it's still, he was in a band when I met him. He was like singing, hanging from the rafters. Like, I was just like, whatever it is, like, you got it under control. Like, it's not a big deal. So I just kind of brushed it off, never really thought anything of it. Fast forward, we get married, and he's 10 years older than me. He would correct me on that and say 9.5. But whatever. And
we're in the
yeah,
still in our favor up in
yeah. and he's a little older. He wanted kids almost immediately. And I was like, I've got a business. I want to travel. I want to save money. All the things that you kind of have to put on pause indefinitely until when you have kids. So I'm still on pause.
Still pausing.
He's old. So I was just like, I'm not ready. And he was like, okay, he was patient for a little bit, and then he was on these medications where there's side effects for birth defects. Yeah. And he had to be off of them for about 6 months before he could start trying. So he was just like, one day, when it came due to like get them renewed or whatever, he was just like, I'm going to start the process of weaning myself off. And this was kind of like him in his head. He didn't ever really say this out loud. So like one day he's like, yeah, I stopped taking my medication so that we can start our family soon. I've got to wean off for about 6 months and then we can start. I was like, super scary.
Right. Can't breathe.
Everything's fine. And so he went off of I was like, okay, 6 months. This is cool. I've got a little while to get up, get used to it. So then we started trying, and a few months into it, we actually did get pregnant, which was great. My initial thought wasn't that. I was like, it's scary, can't eat sushi, wine, all gone.
Right. It's all different.
So I was trying to get used to the idea, and I had my first appointment for the ultrasound to like see the little heartbeat and everything. It was the night before, and I'll never forget. I was because we were like up in Columbus, but my doctor was we from Cincinnati, and so I wanted to go to the doctor that I felt comfortable with.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I was in Cincinnati staying with my mother-in-law and father-in-law, and the next morning I had that appointment, and that night I just felt super crampy, and my mother-in-law was like, oh, don't worry, that can happen. Crampy, the middle of the night, just blood like everywhere. And I was like, oh my God. And like in my mind, I could feel
I'm gonna cry.
Changing in me. And I was just like, and it was like, I had such a bad attitude the whole time. And like the second I saw that happening, and I knew in my heart what was happening, and I was like, it's changing. Like I'm raising, and like, and here I am, and it's like, all of a sudden, and then I go to the doctor's appointment, and they confirmed what had happened, that I lost it. And I just like, I got in the car, and I realized, I was like, I want nothing more from this point on to be a mom. Like, I know. And unfortunately, that had to happen. Yeah. Because I think about that all the time. I'm like, what kind of mom would I have been if I had kind of like gone into it with this? Like, I wasn't ready. Like, I didn't get to do all the things. Like, if I hadn't had that mind shift of like, I want this more than anything in the world, and I had to have it taken away from me to realize that, I'm such a different mom because of that. And I tell you all of that because like that started our process of infertility. And once you do get pregnant, then you have to wait an entire year. Like, because that in a physician's eyes is that you had a pregnancy.
So you're able to get pregnant.
Yes. So then that starts your process like you're again. Like
it restarts the clock.
So even though Pete's Pete was on all of these like he was on steroids too, because
is that what he had to wean off?
Okay. No, he was on an immunodepressant, which so to make it easy to understand with RA, so the fluid in your joints all of a sudden recognizes the cartilage in your body like bad. I'm gonna kill it. Just one day, just switches. Right. And so immunosuppressants make your body sick enough to not eat itself and healthy enough to fight off a common cold. Wow. So it's like this really fine balance. So wonderful for doing all of those things. Horrible for side effects of, procreation.
Yes.
So, anyways, he goes on the steroid that makes the pain go away, but his body is still eating itself.
Oh my God.
And we didn't really realize.
That's like multiple clocks ticking.
Yeah, so many clocks. And we really didn't feel the immediacy of the RA stuff. We were more focused on make a baby.
Yeah, sure.
And so we probably should have been more focused on the RA thing at the time. But he really wasn't feeling.
And you did your best.
Yeah.
Right? You're doing the best you can.
Right. Yeah. And you can only, when you get into that mode of like wanting to have a child, like nothing else matters.
It's all consuming. I also had fertility issues, and it's all consuming. Yeah. And it's devastating, and it's just, I don't know.
It hits you at your core.
It does. It feels like I always throw what I was like, I'm a woman, this is what I'm here to do, and I can't do it. And I like, there's just so much mental that goes into it, let alone not getting to have the baby that you want to have. Yeah.
And you really only get like 1 or 2 days out of the entire month that
I didn't
actually
know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Vacation
They don't tell you that.
No, they don't. Right? They scare you.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So there's really only 1 or 2 days out of the entire month that you can actually get pregnant, and those are the only days that matter. And then like you start looking at your life like every day, like it just 28 days out of the month don't matter except for these days. And then it goes into this like we do nothing for these next 2 days, like locking it in. Yeah. So anyways, we go through this like fertility thing, and we have to go a whole year before we can even go on IVF medications and start that process. Went through the IUIs first, and then IVF. Luckily with our first round of IVF, we got pregnant with our first Lola. She's now 9 and going on 16.
Right. That sounds right. That tracks. I got one of those.
And then we figured that, now we know we have to go through IVF to have a kid. And he had at this point been off of his medications for about 2 years. Yeah. And you're really not supposed to be on steroids for that long at all. Oh. And we didn't really know that at the time. His doctor just kind of kept phoning it in, and that's a whole other thing. But
that sure is.
So he was just like, because he was starting to feel the effects. We had gone on a trip to the Bahamas, and our luggage got lost, and his medication was in his luggage. And that was the first indication that something really wrong was going on. Oh, no. Because just even after a couple of days of not being able to take his steroids, he could not walk.
Oh my gosh.
Everything blew up, his joints, he could not walk. And I was like, what the heck? Like, if you're not on medication, this is what happens? Like, what is going on? And so he was like, I need to get back on my medication. Like I just don't feel right. I can't walk right.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Something's wrong. So we were like, okay, let's just bank your stuff, and let's just know that we have to do IVF. You can go back on your immunosuppressants and go forward. So we go to a new doctor, get his new scans to get him on his new immunotherapy, because there had been a lot of advancements even just in those 2 years, and drugs. And there was some new ones that came out that had a lot less side effects, fewer side effects. And so, but you had to get like your full scan or whatever. And the doctor, I will never forget it, comes back in the room with his x-ray scans, and she's just like, I don't even know how you walked in here. She's like, you are bone on bone. And the second these steroids wear off, you're going to need new hips, and then you're going to need new knees.
Oh my God.
And then you're going to need new feet.
What?
So we've gotten 2 out of the 3 of those done so far.
How do you get new feet?
They're very joint intensive. 6 months off for each foot. Yeah. Which was fun. So we got that to look forward to. But yeah.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Honestly, you got this.
Yeah. So, so he is like my bionic man. And so anyways, he shared his story because he's on TV as well. And he's a main morning, at the time in Columbus, main morning anchor. And people, of course, the trolls come out. And they're like, what's Amy feeding you at home? Blah, blah, blah. And like all these things. And he's just like, we need to be honest with people because they're going to make up their own story about what's happening. Yeah. So he was like, I feel like I just need to share. And so he started sharing about his RA stuff, our fertility stuff. And with me, that inspired me to share my story with the Cincy Chic audience. People came out of the woodwork, were like, this really inspires us. Like, I'm going through the same thing.
Yes, it's so important for people to know that they're not alone.
Right. Yeah. And at the time, this was 2003, no one was talking about infertility at the time. I didn't think. Yeah. Like, I just felt very alone in it, and that no one else was going through what I was going for. It was easy for everybody else. And so I just felt like, okay, I have this amazing platform of women that I can share this to, and that felt very purposeful to me. Yeah. And so when we were starting this new chapter over COVID and like what feels purposeful to us, what are we going to add back in? And I'm like, he was like, I really liked that I shared my story and it connected with people on this emotional, like very raw in this raw place. And I felt the same way about what I was doing. And so that's why he wanted to create PS Never Give Up, where he interviews people about their never give up moments. And
so it's not specific to RA, it's anyone with never give up moments. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, he's talked with so many different people, kids, adults, like there's some really cool stories. So, and it doesn't always have to be health. Like I've talked with so many people, they're like, I'm in a male dominated field and I'm going to buy all the things for all the women on my floor. You know, like
you and I went to coffee how many times during my divorce? And like, I mean, you're just one of those great people who was like, do not give up. Like, you've got this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't got this, but you say I got this, so I got this. Like, you know, and it's just, I mean, the impact that has on people's lives is amazing.
Yeah.
I think, like, what I love is, like, when we think about, first of all, you definitely are resilient and you guys are a great team and you have created this beautiful family and these amazing jobs and pivoted in these jobs despite life happening to you. So your ability to just kind of like pick up and keep going is incredibly inspiring.
Thank you.
And I also think like one of the themes that I heard when you're talking about setting up for chapter 2 and you're like, I'm not totally sure what I am in chapter 2 yet, where you came home from Philly and were like, I am starting a women's publication. Look at me, about to crush. And it's like these moments of in between are kind of like, But I feel like what you did, and I love the caterpillar, where Chrysalis is saying, and when you Chrysalis says, what you need to do is like, if I get this right, it's like you really focus on what your values were. You were like, I want peace, I want to be purposeful, and I want joy. And those are really your 3 decision-making tools of every choice that you make with your family, with your husband, with your job. And it's like, if it aligns to those values, let's give it a go. Yeah, totally. And I think that that's like, if anyone is out there feeling lost in the midst of a chapter, thinking about a new chapter, like really just, I say this all the time because I had to go through this myself, is like, think about the life you want. You actually like, in these ugly, mushy middle moments have, and they're not ugly, but they're uncomfortable. I think super uncomfortable. I'm like, where am I?
Especially for like a planner who likes to have everything mapped out.
An achiever,
like, right? Yeah, totally. And you're just like, I don't know what things look like, but I know what feels right.
Yeah.
And I think that really helps you to navigate to whatever that next step is. You don't have to know the whole staircase. You don't have, just one step at a time.
One step at a time.
Yeah. So, I mean, that definitely helps to navigate things and is helping me navigate things. But I feel really good about where I am right now and what I'm doing and where I'm headed.
I love that.
I don't know exactly what it looks like, but I know that I'm moving in a really, really good direction.
Okay. So I know we need to close soon because we got to get you back to work. Okay. In this moment of like, and you're not in the middle, girl, you're crushing it. Like you're like already formulating this great job. I want to talk more about PS Never Give Up and how that's like, you know, really come to life. But right now, what are the things off the top of off your head in your life? What gives you peace?
Well, some things I'd like to do more of. Being healthy really gives me peace. With Pete and his journey with his health, I've got a whole new appreciation for this body that we're in.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
can't take it for granted.
He feels trapped in a lot of ways. And I really have to focus on like a healthy body is such a blessing, and it's one that we take for granted a lot of times. So when I'm making, really mindful decisions about the things that we bring into the home, the things that we eat, the things that we do, like when it's healthy, it brings me a lot of peace. And healthy also means having a job that does not require me to be in an office and sitting through rush hour and like doing the things that like make me hate life, you know?
Totally. Yes, know your limits.
So I think just like making healthy decisions make me feel peace and good.
I love that.
I forgot to mention that like I have 3 kids now.
Yes, so it's hard to find peace with a house of 3 kids.
Yes. So but what brings me peace? So now we have 3 kids, 9, 7, and 5, and I also love when I can strike a balance, because I used to kind of silo off things. Like, I'm at work, I'm doing family things, I'm doing this productive thing here. And it's just like, when I can like mesh them all together and like do them all and kind of check all the boxes, that feels really good. So like for work, I do a lot of like, I hate to call it this word, but like influencer, content creation, and like, but when I can do it featuring these like wholesome moments that like showcase, like, kids don't lie. They will tell you, and you can tell on their face if they do or they don't like something.
Yes.
And so I love featuring them like enjoying something or like what they thought about it. And and I do it for work. And yes, there's sometimes sponsorships involved or whatever, but I love showcasing it instead of like creating like some boring ad or whatever. And it's like, I got to have fun with my family.
Yeah.
I got to do this work thing. I got compensated for the idea and the time that I put into it. And all of those things feel like I checked all the boxes all at once. So that also feels really good too.
I love that. Okay. What brings you joy in life right now? I have a feeling there's a lot of overlap, but if you could pick even a new thing.
Well, I have gotten into painting.
Yes, you have.
So
I've seen it on the internet.
Yeah, and it, again, like I found a home for those paintings on PS Never Give Up. We've also started to do a lot of like events, connecting with the community. We're getting ready to launch our foundation, the nonprofit side of PS,
yes.
Where we provide grants and resources to those with chronic illnesses who are seeking fertility treatments, which is just a real niche, but it's a real need.
Yes. And for business owners out there, niche down.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, I don't know if you feel this for all the work that you've done. The more specific you can get on your niche,
yes,
especially as it connects to something personal in your life, I promise it will do nothing but benefit your business.
Yes.
Okay, so you've got the foundation
connecting
side.
in the community. I'm doing a lot of creative things. One of my best friends, she's a marriage and family therapist, and she's kind of like diverted a little bit into like creativity. So she does like a lot of creativity workshops and like it's amazing.
I want to go.
I know. So she does these like soul collage workshops and like these really fun things, and it's like a little bit of like vision board workshops, but it's also like more connecting to like purpose and like who I am, and like helping you kind of map out that like whatever that next chapter is, and what do things look like for me. So she's inspired me a lot to tap into that creativity, and then it finds a home on PS, and then PS also benefits the foundation, and I feel like that's really purposeful, and that's kind of like a legacy thing for us, where I feel like that's something I really want to pass down to the kids of like, okay, we provide these grants and these resources, and these stumbling blocks were put into our path, but we're using them as stepping stones for others.
That's beautiful.
And this is how we've done it. You know, we've channeled these things in these ways. So I feel like there's a lot of alignment between like tapping into this like creative pool that I feel, and where to have it live and where to sell it, and how do I connect with people about those things, and then also how do I help people
through and there's that purpose.
Yes.
Right? It really like you are very intentionally making sure that you hit all those boxes for you, because that is, and like as you're saying, the stumbling blocks are your stepping stones. Like that is how you get to chapter 2, and you're very much there. I'm like, you're getting there. You're like, my foundation is launching, and my new show is launching, and I have beautiful children, and we connect. And seriously, and I know that life comes with all the chaos too.
Right.
And then, you know, it's like we're all coming in hot. We're all drinking so much coffee and tired, and like I don't know.
Well, one of the like best things about you is that you are so real, and that's one thing that, you know, as a content creator, as an influencer, whatever, like I really stray away from like using any of those terms, because I feel like those who do those things, they have perfect homes, they have perfectly like color coordinated kids and things.
No, not here.
I am not that way, but I want people to realize that, and that's something that I'm really adamant about with my kids. Like we don't have, it's funny that like we both make a living on TV, and I don't even know how to use my TV. Like I don't know how to turn it on.
Do you not binge watch shows?
No. Well,
your murder podcast. Your murder shows.
Yeah. I do watch murder shows, but
you're not alone. I'm like, please don't hurt me. Just kidding. Everybody watches murder shows. The cutest, kindest people that are like love a good murder show.
It makes you smart about things that like your brain just does not think that way. And I feel
always
like
prepared.
Yes, always prepared. So like we don't watch a lot of TV. Like my big thing, I'm like, I want my kids to be able to name more flowers and herbs and types of trees than celebrities. Like that is my mission. I want them to know real things. Yeah. And as AI and all of these things get introduced into the world that aren't real, and also as people are trying to portray a certain life that's not real, it's very tough to tell what is real and what's not. And I want my kids to, and I want to be very focused on what's real. Yeah. And I think that that's important, in choosing what I choose to do and what I choose to create and how I am with friends. Like, I love when I walked in, you're just like, okay, this is my house. This is real life. Like, I did not clean for you. And I'm like, please don't. Like,
I know. I made a promise to myself. If I'm going to have people in my home for this podcast studio, I'm not going to stress out about a clean house. I just picked up another contract, so I'm extra busy. And I'm like, just so you know, this is still hungover from this morning getting kids on the bus. Look at my kitchen. And
I even thought about that driving here. I was like, I hope she didn't like clean house and like do all the things, because that has to be like stressful to have people in your house. Like,
I didn't. I had to like really.
I love that about you. And then that makes people honestly feel more comfortable. Like, my house looks like this. It doesn't have to be perfect all the time. Like, then like you just kind of like feel more comfortable. And
I'm glad that my mess brings you comfort.
Yes, it does. You know, at the end of the day, it saves time and life, and like lets you just like sit in the joy moments instead of like waiting for that other shoe to drop of like, what are all the other things that need to happen? Like, I can't feel this joy fully because I have other things to do, right?
And it's like, that is so, it's such a great way to talk about being present. And it's like, I don't want it in the back of my head being like, is she going to care that I have, we got Dunkin' Donuts this morning because the kids like to get that on the day they have standardized tests as like a treat so that's like our tradition. And I'm like, I still have Dunkin' laying. I was like, but I'm going to eat that donut later, so I'm not throwing it out yet.
Rose and Dunkin' just set.
I am winning. I also thought today was Friday. Amy informed me that it's Thursday.
She's like, it's okay, it's Friday. I was like, it is?
I really sold it, but it's not. And also my 10-year-old dressed me, and I
love it.
Apparently I look slay and preppy, and I'm not really sure how I feel, but I'm grateful for the guidance. Anyway, yes, my life is a hot mess, and I genuinely like love every bit about that.
And that is good. We need to be like that more often.
Yeah. It is very liberating. I'm not gonna lie, because I really used to think things like my kitchen counter is the reflection of how put together my life is.
Yes.
But it's not. My kitchen counter is messy because the rest of my life is fairly put together. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's so many things that are also not. I haven't even made my bed this morning, which is like a cardinal sin for me. I find that is like a peaceful thing in the morning to like journal, make my bed. At least that part of my life is organized.
Right. At least I did one thing today.
I've been trotting all day today. Just trotting around the house.
Hey, we did this. We figured out how to get your camera to work.
Oh my God, the camera didn't work. Anyway, I know. And I could talk about this forever, but I know that you have to get to a meeting, and so I want to make sure to protect your time. But some of my favorite moments, can you come back?
Oh, I'd love to.
Okay. We're gonna do a series because I just adore you, and I think that, you know, your personal life, your foundation life, your professional life, your mom life, there's so many facets to you, and you are also a very real, honest, hardworking, kind-hearted woman that I think is such a great example for everyone out there who, you know, struggles with perfectionism and like being people pleasers and boundaries. Like, we're all figuring this out together. And I just love how you show up in the world and bring that. And I think today I've been so inspired as I still continue to define what this brand is. What does this mean for my life? I know what I want my life to look like, but I'm still very much transitioning into this newer version of me to sit in my chrysalis and like really just think about what my values are. And that brings me peace to be like, hey, you've got your guideposts. Yeah. Just sit in there. And also to just like continue to invent and create, to lean into what has defined you in your life and what have been those stumbling blocks and the really beautiful stepping stones to what could be next.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a doll.
Oh, you are too. Oh my gosh, girl. Like you, and it's so funny how people inspire you in different ways in your inner circle. And I always think that like those you surround yourself with are like a reflection of who you are or who you want to be. And like, I am just honored to be in that circle because the way that you and the resilience that you have shown and the example to your kids around, you know, your values and, you know, what, you know, you will and will not stand for. I mean, that's so huge because you made some big decisions pretty quick.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of personal and professional things were tied up in that. And the way that you figured that out with such grace. And I have watched you and have been so proud of you, like the biggest cheerleader, because that takes a lot, all of that, because you were making decisions for not just you, for so many things in your life. And the thing is that like in those moments, those really hard moments, you just want to be like, okay, world, pause, let me feel this, let me heal, let me figure it out. But the world keeps turning.
It sure does.
And when you have kids, they keep needing, and their worlds are at 1,000,000 miles a minute. And somehow you were able to chrysalis your way through that. And I just think that that's really cool. And it's just been really inspiring to watch, and go you.
Thank you. I mean, I'm going to try and really soak that in, because I was recently told by a dear friend, whenever someone gives me a compliment, I just want to tell you 10 things that I know about you right back. It feels good, right? I'm just like, guess what, I love your shirt. Yes. And I called you because I needed to see a strong woman, to reflect that to me, to be like, be a strong woman. But I'm going to say those things and I really mean it. And I'm going to just sit and take that. And like, truly, that is, these are the things that get me through.
Yeah.
And keep me going. And, you know, my kids for sure. And I know I'm strong and resilient and all those things, but that I'm also human, and life is hard and life is beautiful. But in the hard moments, I will remember this.
Yeah.
And I will keep going. I will not give up.
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
Oh, you guys, this has been, you are just a dream. Okay, so many more segments to come. Okay, you guys, I want to get Amy back to work. Either that or I'm keeping her forever. But to recap, never give up, right? Keep it simple. You just never give up. You just keep going. So we've got the show starting in April. We've got the foundation launching in April.
Yes.
Where can we find you, find about the show, and find about the foundation?
Sure. So my personal handles on Facebook and on Instagram are Amy Scalia, Scalia.
There we go.
TV. So Amy Scalia TV on Facebook and Instagram. And then PS Never Give Up. There's psnevergiveup.com, and you can sign up to the newsletter. We'll be sending out the invites to the foundation. And also on that site, all the social handles are linked. So you'll be able to find out more about everything we're doing there. There's an online shop there. So, you can check that out. And we're going to be at a ton of events leading up to and continuing on still. But through the spring, before the launch, I just really want to be intentional about being in the community and connecting with people.
Because that's what this is for.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Okay. And then we know the show launches in April.
Yes.
Do we follow your Amy Scalia TV to figure out the launch for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also Cincy Refined is where you'll be seeing all the segments and all of that. So that's where that'll all live. And more to come on that. So it'll be on Local 12, the TV station, but Cincy Refined is on social, where you'll see everything running.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
for being here. Thank you.
I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this Cincinnati's lucky to have you.
Oh, I appreciate that. I love Cincinnati, and it's just blossomed, since I've graduated and really been able to dive deep into it. It's been really cool to see how it's grown.
I love it. I'm also super grateful to be here. All right, you guys, that's it for us. We'll definitely have more to come, but thank you everyone for listening. And don't forget, P.S. Never give up.
Never give up.
Cheers.
Okay.
Well, that's the end of this episode, but promise me, you won't stop here with whatever it is you're feeling or dreaming about. I hope you leave today feeling empowered to live life just as you see fit. If this podcast was helpful to you, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. I genuinely just want to help women live the life they dream about. So if this type of content tracks with you, subscribe to this podcast or visit our website, writeyourownsstory.co, to download digital courses or to grab a journal and a mug to just dream in and dream with. It's your life, lady. Do you? And just remember, I'm rooting for you, and you've totally got this.